Hello, and welcome back to the Just Follow Joy podcast. My name is Ariana Joy. I'm your host, and I'm a human design reader and teacher. And I'm also something known as a pure generator. And if you're new to human design, generator is one of the 5 energy types. Your energy type being the way your aura is structured to exchange energy with the world around you and the universe at large to make things happen for yourself, to create, to attract what you want, and to manifest. And as a generator, my success strategy with my aura is to wait to respond. And if you're a generator or a sister energy type of manifesting generator, which is basically a subtype of generator, then the same is true for you as well. And the funny thing about our energy type is that while wait to respond is actually pretty straightforward and pretty simple, first off, WTF does that mean? Because it doesn't sound like anything we've heard before. And then secondly, even if you understand waiting to respond, which really just means wait until your body says, yes, I'm excited about something before jumping into it, instead of trying to initiate something out of nowhere because your mind thinks, oh no, we'll never make any progress if we don't just pull something out of thin air, you know? Even if you understand that, there can still be this lack of faith and this fear around it because it is so different from what we have been trained to do our entire lives. We've been taught the opposite way of how we're meant to manifest is what we're supposed to do. And so we hit a lot of frustration and a lot of blocks. It's not for us. And if we wait to respond, things will be so much easier for us in the most incredible ways. It's just not how we were told manifesting, especially through taking action, is supposed to work. It's like we were told this isn't how we're supposed to hit our goals or make things happen for ourselves, even though it's the easiest way to do it for how we're built. So there can be this fear around actually doing that. And then on top of it, this confusion of how does that even work? What would that even look like? So today I wanted to bring on my virtual assistant, Danielle, who's also a pure generator. So we could talk about some quote unquote sacral success stories or some wait to respond success stories to show you how you do manifest or can manifest. I guess not show you how you do manifest, show you how we have manifested through waiting to respond in our own lives to see some pretty incredible results, sometimes even better situations than we originally wanted to manifest in the first place. And if you like the episode and you want to learn more about this, I actually have an entire course that came out about waiting to respond recently. It's called the Sacral Success Course, and I am so beyond stoked to share it with you because it is packed to the brim with practical explanations, how-tos, guidance, tips, FAQs that I get from all my generator and manifesting generator clients, and basically everything that I wish I had known when I learned I was a generator 6 years ago and had started on my human design experiment, because I struggled with waiting to respond for a really, really long time, much longer than I would have liked to admit. But it's something that I see happening for basically every sacral being who I meet. And the good news is that it doesn't have to be this hard or tough or grindy or mind-based. It gets to feel good and light and exciting and joyful. So this course is all about making it super easy to understand how this works and super easy to put it into place so you can start making moves and manifesting what you want with so much more ease and a ton more fun. And also, if you grab the course before April 2nd, you're going to get it for $100 off. So you're going to grab it for just $97. So of course, the link to that will be below in the description. And remember, if you like the Just Follow Joy podcast, if you love the Just Follow Joy podcast, it would be so helpful if you could like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on a different platform, do whatever it is you do over there to leave positive feedback. But anyway, with that said, let's dive in and hear from Danielle. Hey guys, also one last thing, we do shoot the breeze for a little bit before we get to the sacral success stories. If you want to dive straight into those, that's around the 13-minute mark. Okay, so we're gonna dive into the stories in a second, but Danielle and I both have had a week. We were supposed to record this last week on Thursday, I think, and I was just going through it. We had, it's ended today, but the sun was in gate 36, which hit me hard. That is the gate of crisis, and I was feeling it. I was in it, and I actually don't check transits very often. That's not really my thing, but Kelsey does them for her podcast all the time. So I was I canceled my recording with her, which was supposed to be the next day. And I said, I don't know why, I'm just feeling so awful. And she said, well, we're literally in the gate of crisis right now. And so, yeah, you're just going to randomly feel awful. It's not going to feel good. So there was that for me. But Danielle had the near death experience. And it's not like
Totally.
funny that you almost died. It's just like the reason that you almost died is really funny. Also, the way that she came on to, we had a Zoom to finish up the promo emails for the Sacral Success course, which just came out. And she boxes me and she says, I'm gonna look a little rough on the Zoom. I went through something. And I said, oh my God, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm fine now. And then she pops on to Zoom and she goes, hi. I was like, what's wrong with your voice? Care to elaborate, Danielle?
Yeah, let me tell. So basically, very long story short, I found myself in the back of the ambulance in the middle of the night Monday, like passenger princess to the hospital because I'm allergic to tofu, apparently. So it got really scary, but now we can totally laugh. I like couldn't talk. So like I was that 2 days after I talked to you, I still was like not able to talk. And I was just like,
Really?
this is fine.
This
No,
is
it was the day after. I did talk to you the day after. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And you we were talking about last week and we kind of both forgot this happened, I think, for a second. And you're like, it's been an okay week. Well, I mean, I did almost die. There's that.
minor detail, but
I'm
yeah, like
nonchalant.
it was totally that gate like of crisis, right?
Yeah, well,
Like
for you too, we talked about how you have gate 51, which is the gate of shock. And people with gate 51 often have experiences like that, not to scare anyone. They're not always life or death experiences. And you're
so.
going through like a spiritual transformation right now. A lot of us
I
are. And I think a lot of
yeah,
us felt it with gate
yeah,
36, and now we're going into eclipse season
yeah.
this today.
Yeah, exactly. So what's interesting is Sunday before this all happened, I was talking to my husband and I was like crying. And I'm like, there's something so massive happening to me right now. I cannot explain it. This is such a soul thing. And I'm just crying. Like, I feel like I'm running out of time. Like, time is going so fast and I have so much I'm meant to do in this world. And I just feel scared, like, that I'm going to die early or something. Like, this was my thought process. And Derek's just like, he doesn't know what to do. He's trying to be like,
Derek is like, can we
yeah,
put it, let's put this into a spreadsheet.
exactly. Like, how can I put this in little boxes that make sense? Because he was just like, I don't know. So then this happened, and I'm like, of course. Like I'm saying, like I'm having such a massive upgrade of my soul, and then this crazy thing with tofu. I eat tofu. Like that's nothing out of the ordinary for me. So I talked to a spiritual guide a little bit about it, and she said what happens in those moments is you are sensitive to everything.
Mm,
So let's add that to like the solar eclipse, or the eclipses are coming, right? Like, and that
apparently, yeah.
gate, and I'm just like, it's this beautiful, yeah. So that's what's up. And then I
Yeah.
told you about my hotel trip.
Oh my God, the dumpster fire. Danielle's boxing me and she's like, this is all Derek's fault. All Derek's fault. Over and
Oh,
over. She's just like, it's Derek.
everything Derek's fault. So basically, we got this like great deal because he's like a Diamond Wyndham, and we got like $100 vacation, 3 nights, 4 days in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Lovely.
Sounds
So
cute.
cool. Let's go like to the mountains, right? It's only like 6 hours from here. We roll up to this lovely hotel where there's it's under construction and there is no elevator, but we have to go to the third floor, so we've got like a suitcase. Adeline of course has like the fanny pack, the mini pack, the pillow, the blanket, the stuffed animal. I've got like my backpack, but so we're like lugging all this shit upstairs, and we get to the top and it's like it was like a horror movie, like the wallpaper's coming off the wall and like there's mold growing like between and I'm like, I had nothing to say. And then we get to my room and the door, they so nicely printed out the room numbers and had them taped on the door.
How
I'm
kind
just
of
like,
them.
I know. And I'm like, this can't be happening to me. Like, I cannot. And Derek's like, he's happy, right? He's got like $100 vacation in the mountains. And he's like, mm-hmm. And he's just like, what are you thinking? I'm like, I literally have nothing nice to say. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, just like, had to walk up into the, yeah.
Oh wait,
So,
sorry, this is so funny, and I'm getting so off topic here, but it's so funny because the other day, my dad was like really annoying my mom, and they end the day, and my mom was like not saying anything, but she was just getting really annoyed because he just like kept saying annoying things to her, and they're sitting on the couch, and he turns to her and he says, "I feel like you're mad at me, but I just don't know why." And I'm like, it's the most husband thing to say ever. I feel like the vibes are off. Not sure
yeah,
why.
yeah, I'm not really sure why you feel this way. I'm like, yeah,
Can I bring this back to your human design for a
yeah,
second?
of course, let's do
That
it.
whole thing before that you were saying about, I feel like I'm running out of time. Do you remember when you were first on the podcast? Everyone
Mhm.
listening, Danielle's been on a few times. The first time, I think it was in 2022. And I said, because your sun gate is in gate 28, which is the gate of purpose and finding purpose through struggle and like searching for it. And people with gate 28 have this inborn fear and I'll say an awareness that life is only so long, and there is a time pressure to find something that makes it feel worthwhile. And what you were saying of, I feel like I'm running out of time and I'm afraid I'm going to die before I find my purpose, that is like literally gate 28 in a nutshell. And I remember when I first said it to you, it's funny because you weren't in this place at that time, so it didn't,
Mhm.
I think, resonate as much. I said, do you feel like you're running out of time in life ever, or do you feel like you don't have enough time to do things? And you're like, no, I can't relate to that. And I was like, oh, okay,
Right?
that's fine. No worries. And then you're saying this now, and it's so fascinating to me because that's such a big impact on your chart. It would make so much sense you feel that way.
Yeah, especially now that I'm stepping into this spiritual awakening and like knowing there's more for my soul to do. So that feels that gate, that sun gate feels more active than ever for me. It's like because
Mm,
I'm like meeting my soul, that's I think why that's happening. Does that sound
yeah,
right?
that
Yeah.
sounds right to me.
Yeah.
As a well-known spiritual guru who knows everything
For
about
sure. For sure.
enlightenment and evolution, yeah, that tracks for me. Anyone listening, there are people who take me so literally when I say things like that. Obviously, I'm just a silly little human design goose, okay? I'm not saying I'm anyone's guru, and I don't want to be. With the 5 line, literally so much fear around that. But anyway, okay, so getting into the meat of today,
Yeah.
Danielle and I wanted to share some stories, some success stories. We'll call them sacral success stories of waiting to respond. Because one of the things for generators and MGs is that waiting to respond is so different from what we've been taught to do in our action taking process since we were born. We've all been taught to initiate, from our parents to the world outside of our family, our communities, our greater culture, the world at large. And that's because that's what we are told is the only way to succeed. But that's not the case for generators and MGs, which is so funny because we're 70% of the population. So 70% of the population has been told to work in a way that we're not supposed to, which is so dumb. And the result of ancient conditioning that's been around for millennia, which I'm not going to go into. But today, Danielle and I want to give you some practical examples of how this can work out and what the process was like so you can see this. Because I think that in this case, seeing is believing. And this can be really, really helpful for people who are afraid to take that leap and take that jump to start to wait to respond. And if you are going, I mean, I still don't actually even really know what that means. Guess what? The Sacral Success course will show you exactly what that is and how to use it and more, especially in terms of manifestation, because that's one of my favorite things to talk about.
For sure.
So we're going to start actually with Danielle,
Mhm.
in how you came to be where you are with your career and your
Yeah.
work as a VA.
Yeah. So I think I've actually talked about this on the podcast before,
Mm-hmm.
but I met someone in a like it was like a direct sales. And she was like, Danielle, I need help with like this thing called MailChimp. Like it is so beyond, which it still is. And
I used to have MailChimp, and Danielle was like, please, Ariana, please, can we move to Flowdesk? And I was like,
not
sure, take the reins.
So with reason, like she needed help. So then I helped her with that. And then it was like she needed help with this. And then before I knew it, like I was like her VA before VAs were even a thing. Like no one was calling anybody a VA. It was just like I was a helper.
I was
And
just a little helper.
I was just a helper. And then she had a friend who needed help. And then, another friend. And then that friend needed, like, this thing just blew up. And it really was like breadcrumbs. It was just like I kept literally, things would come to me. Like people would come to me. I would then respond, like, yeah, I'll do this for you. Sometimes, though, it was a no, but so that's
Yeah.
literally how I've grown my business, all word of mouth and just following breadcrumbs. I never went seeking. That's what's so interesting about my career is that I've never marketed. I've never like had a social media account or anything. It was just all word of mouth, which is right, 4-6, very 4-6 of me, but
Yeah.
also just responding to what the
Mhm.
universe kept sending me. So that is how I have this awesome business.
Yeah. And it was just step by step. I think this is a really great, I particularly love your story, Danielle, because it became a business. It became what you do for work. And it's so funny because you could have been such a seeker with Gate 28, with what is my purpose? Give me my purpose, especially because you have an undefined G center. And that can be such a big thing for us of like, what direction am I supposed to be going? And what is my bigger purpose? How am I going to make this all come together? What does this mean? Who am I? But what I love about this is that you did breadcrumb your way to something that was satisfying and fulfilling for you. And you didn't mention this, but a few years before that, right before you'd become a doula, you had also been looking for something more. You wanted that soul work that fed your soul, and you
Yeah.
found it through not even really looking for it. I think that there's this idea that if you want something and you're not like fucking attacking it, making the world bend to your will to get that thing, then it's never going to come to you. You have to be focused on that. It's so direct, but we're built for indirect manifestation as generators and MGs. So does that mean that we don't get what we want? No, it's going to be in a different way than we've been trained. And so, especially when you're looking at, career or a business or a job, it's like you don't even really have to go into it. I know this sounds so strange, but you don't even really have to go into it with this intention of like, this is becoming my business. It's okay, I want a business or I want to run my own thing. And then I just follow these steps that are given to me. And oh my gosh, look, I ended up with the thing. Like that's how this works for us.
Yeah.
And it's just the coolest thing
It
ever.
is cool. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I want to talk a little bit about my own
Yeah,
breadcrumb
let's
kind
hear
of
it.
thing. So when I was first starting my business, I obviously wanted more clients and just didn't really know how to do that, as most people who start a business don't really know how to do it or don't feel that they do. And so I was really trying to market my readings to my email list, which was pretty small. I'd gained a following just through my blog posts. And that was it. I didn't even have social media at the time. And I was just really stressed about it. And I kept asking myself, how can I get more people onto my email list? And how can I get more people to buy? How can I get more clients? What can I do? And was trying to come up with all these ideas of what to do, aka initiating things to take action on, right? Pull something out of my butt. And one day I was talking to my friend who had a podcast, and I said, God, I love your podcast and I think it's so cool that you do it. And there was something kind of bubbling up in me where I was like, that's really interesting. Maybe I want to do that. And then she directly says to me, why don't you podcast? Why don't you try podcasting? And I've never seen myself as a podcaster ever because I love writing. And that's one of my favorite ways to transmit information, always has been. And I just didn't see myself as any kind of presenter in an auditory way, or even now we do it visually too. Podcast goes on YouTube. And I got this full yes response. I was like, oh, that sounds so fun. And so I said, yeah, I'll just do it for fun because I never thought it was going to be anything important to my business. I just thought, oh, that sounds really, really exciting. And I love expressing myself. So why not? Why not try this new way of getting people information? And now my podcast is the number one way people find me and the number one thing that convinces people to come to work with me. This is how I got clients. That's what I was looking for the entire time. And it came through this random thing that was presented to me. I did not expect it. It did not seem like the thing I to my mind, I was supposed to be doing because I was like, this isn't who I am, right? Um, but it's so funny to me to this day. That is just such a funny story to me
Oh
that it's
good.
this thing that seemed so small and I literally just did it because it's fun.
Yeah.
And now it's the number one way I make money through my business, honestly.
And that's the magic of it. That's the magic of this gift that we have to be able, like I'm just so grateful that we don't have to go and push for things. And I can feel why it would be frustrating if you don't know that. Like if you're just literally like, well, do I just wait? Like I can see how people would be confused on that. So
You read my
okay.
mind. You read my mind.
Yeah.
I want to tell people too, Danielle and I are not special. This is, if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, this is how it works for you. You just need to learn how to hear your sacral center again. Actually, I wouldn't even say that. You just have to remember how to hear your sacral center because it's already talking to you and life is already sending you things to say yes and no to.
Yeah.
And Danielle and I just have learned that information and we've practiced it.
Yeah.
So, it might sound like this was fated for us, and it was, but what you want is fated for you as well if this is a true soul desire,
Yeah.
really. And
Yeah.
your body is already trying to get you there. And I really want to reiterate, Danielle and I are fucking awesome, but we're not really that special where this would work only for us. And you're not this dumbass, not special person
Hey.
who's doomed for this not to work for you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you another story from my life, again, to
Mhm.
do with my business and actually to do with my podcast. So I just have to clarify to everyone when it comes to astrology, let's take a step out of human design for a second. When you look at my astrological chart, first off, I've got a packed 10th house, which means career and visibility and, shaking hands and kicking ass, that kind of thing. It's my jam. I love it. And I'm a lot about business growth and even more than monetary growth. It's just like, how can I create more here, more visibility, have eyes on Just Follow Joy and myself by extension. And so that's all to say, I was thinking about that. And again, looking for ways to do that. And sometimes people get pitched to my podcast. I get emails about it. One time I got an email from someone who was pitching me, I think 2 or 3 people at a time. And I said, not interested right now. So I didn't even open the email. But for some reason, I decided to go back. And there was this one woman who I, for some reason, got this sacral yes from. I just looked at her picture. She was so just, I was like, I feel like we have something in common. I really like your energy. I went on her Instagram and I watched her videos and I said, I could work with this. And I read what she talked about. And I thought, I think people who listen to my podcast would really like this. I invited her on literally just because I thought this could be a fun conversation. She seems really cool. I'm excited to talk to her. She comes on. We have an amazing conversation, like way better than I even expected. I had so much fun talking to her. And afterward, she said, Hey, I really like talking to you too. And I loved learning human design from you. Would you be willing to give my husband and I readings? And I said, hell yeah. So I gave her and her husband readings. And she said, and then she invited me onto her podcast. And she said, just to let you know, these tend to convert pretty well. So just keep your calendar open. And I thought I'd get maybe like 7 readings or something. I got more than 25 readings in the span of like 3 weeks, or that's so many more than I usually get. They were packed. And it all came from this place of non attachment around what I was saying yes to simply because it excited me. It was
Yep.
presented to me through my aura attracted Karen to me through, her podcast pitching agent. And then my body just said, yeah, hell yeah, that's exciting to me. It doesn't have to make sense. And it's honestly not really supposed to. It only has to make sense to your body, I guess is what I should say. And it's so funny to me because that's how I got the most clients ever in such a short period of time, is through literally just doing what excited me. But
And you made such a good point. It's the non-attachment part.
mhm.
That's really what it is. Because that can be hard to practice. But when you're following your joy so much, it's like, yeah, I guess you are just naturally not attached, right? You're just like, huh, okay, this should be fun. And look what came from that.
Exactly. Yeah. There's just so much conditioning that we can't wait. We can't dance
Yeah.
with life and interact with life in order to get what we want. Like it all has to come from the inside for some reason. Like, why?
Yeah.
It doesn't make you not
Right.
a powerful person. Your sacral energy is already on the inside, technically. Like, you are powerful. This is just how you work. And like, everyone dances with life anyway, just in different ways. But then the second thing is that we think once we have that thing to respond to, if it doesn't look work oriented or it doesn't look like it makes sense again to the mind, then it's not going to get you anywhere. And then we get attached to this other thing that we just come up with or again pull out of our butt. I love that phrase. I say it all the time. And so that's why I said it twice in this podcast episode. But if we like we basically get so attached to that thing that we've come up with, which is just a fucking idea.
Right.
Like our body is going to tell us what is actually right for us if we just listen to how it's responding to everything around us all the time. And yet we believe that we have to pull inward, and it's like only this thing that we came up with randomly, or the log, or even came up with logically, right? That can get us to where we want to be, and that's just truly not the case.
Yeah. So another kind of cool part of it too is that there's another story that I have around this. I've been following this lady for like over 10 years, and I've never actually like paid to work with her. And I recently made a huge investment to work with her. And there's so much up leveling that's happening in my life because of this investment. Obviously, like such a huge, like sacral hell yeah. But also, she's already sending me referrals. Like, that's freaking amazing. I had
Yeah.
no intentions of that happening. But now I'm in her circle, I'm in her sphere. And so she's just like, she's already handed me two referrals. Like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and
Danielle
then
makes money without trying. It's so cool to see.
it's so cool. Okay, so another really cool story is that Derek went in the army, so we had to move to Hawaii. And I was pregnant with my second baby, and Derek had to deploy. And so here I am going to be on the island with like two small children. But even before that, I got there. I was on Craigslist. I've said before, like when Craigslist wasn't creepy, when it was like new and fun.
When it was
And
flirty and fresh.
and
Also, wait,
then
I think we should clarify too, being a 4-6, deep connection with her tribe is very important to Danielle. Like, very important. She also has gate 40, which is the gate of loneliness. So that can like without gate 37, it could be like, oh man, where's my community? So I just thought I
totally,
should clarify that because that's why she was saying, I mean, already being a mother of two alone on Hawaii can be lonely, but there's that on top of
totally.
it.
Yeah, no, that's so good to know. But okay, so I go to Craigslist. Looking for a baby swing. Like I'm selling mine. I want a new one because like new baby's coming. And I met my friend Amy. And so I met Amy by the responding of, well, I'm going to sell this swing. So that itself, like sell the swing because I wanted a
Mhm.
pink one. Because like I thought it mattered back then. And then Amy comes to my door. We have like this soul connection. This has happened to me twice. It happened to me here in North Carolina as well. And we just like instantly were like, oh my God. So we obviously awkwardly said goodbye to each other, even though now we're like soul sisters, and we were both so sad. So I responded to the breadcrumb of I should write her an email. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, that'd be really weird. Like, and I literally ended up writing her and being like, I hope it works. And it was so nice to meet you. So, long story short, we became really good friends. And so much of my community came from Amy because she is a
Mhm.
local and she introduced me to baby Hui. And then I had like local friends who were teaching me about everything, and they're really amazing moms. And that is how I got through my time in Hawaii. So another just like total breadcrumbs of just like following these things. And now I met her, and it's been amazing.
Yeah. And I love, so to clarify to people, part of the reason why I wanted Danielle to share this story is because it's just sweet and lovely. But this actually, it sounds a little bit like Danielle's initiating and reaching out to Amy, but that's not the case. So this is actually a thing where it just makes me so mad when people say shit like this. They'll say like generator shouldn't be the one to reach out or start something that's initiating. I'm like, it's no, that's so, the context really matters here because anyone can start something. It's about the energy that you come at this with. Human design is not telling us what we can do, it's telling us how we come to the correct actions for ourselves. So with Danielle, when she met Amy, first off, she just looked at her swing set and she was like, no response to that. Get rid of that. And so
Right.
she put it on Craigslist, right? No attachment there, just trying to get rid of a swing set or get a new one. And then Amy, reaches out to her and then they meet. And then when they have this connection, Danielle is responding to that connection. She's responding to Amy and being like, I fucking love Amy. Amy is a sacral yes for me. And so after that, like you can act on that response. Like if this person is a yes for you, you can act on that. Danielle, I think I told you this. And I think I sent out an email about this too. But I one time read an article written by a projector who definitely did not understand this concept. Like this person was kind of new to human design. And she said, if you're a generator, you shouldn't be the person to go say hello to someone to initiate a friendship. And I said, that makes absolutely zero sense because, again, 70% of the world is a generator or manifesting generator. So, what are we supposed to do if we're all standing around in a coffee shop together? Are we supposed to like nervously stand apart from each other and wait until a manifester comes in with a bullhorn and be like, speed friend round, bitches? Like that makes absolutely no sense
Right.
because if
Right.
you're a generator, it's about instead if you see someone that you want to be friends with or something like that, or you're looking to make friends, let's say that more generally,
Yeah.
or you want to date someone, like you want to be in a relationship or go on dates, rather than like looking around being like, I should go talk to that person, right? Because that's initiating, that's coming out of this should I have to do something to make something happen. Rather than that, it's about waiting until someone is in your awareness, which usually for most of us happens all the time. There are people around us. Someone is in your awareness, and then you get a sacral yes of like, ooh, that person's interesting. That feels right. That feels fun. That feels flirty and fresh. You're going to go over because then you have the sacral response. Your body told you you have energy for that thing or that person is right for you. So you don't have to hold yourself back. And that's perfect that Danielle did what she did because it's what felt right to her. And the reason she was doing it was because it was out of this sacral excitement about her new friend.
Yeah, totally. And now, like, I mean, honestly, Amy has blessed me, my life. I can't even explain to you. So it is such a cool story.
Yeah. Anyway, so I actually have a couple more that are fast bonus round ones. They're just fun and really silly. So for years, I wanted to go to Costa Rica and I was really trying to make it happen. Like really just trying to like figure out every step that had to happen for me to get to Costa Rica. And there were like 3 times I tried to go and it just wouldn't work out for one reason or another. I would hit a really rough point in my life, or I just didn't have the money, or I was just like, time is running out. I can't do this, right? Or it's like my friend, or it turned out that there was like a giant storm happening right when I wanted to go, or I had to be here for work or something. So I basically kind of gave up on it a little bit and just thought, well, I didn't give up on it. I just detached from it. And I thought, you know what? I'll figure it out. And those are always the magic words for me. I always say, you know what? I'll figure it out. It's fine. And one day I was hanging out with my friend Andrea and she turns to me and she says, oh, by the way, do you want to come to Costa Rica with us for New Year's? Apropos of nothing. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I did not have to figure out a single fucking thing for that trip. It was
Really?
so easy. Like, and the funny thing too, Andrea doesn't usually like planning trips, but she planned out every single step of this. I did not have to worry about anything. It was all planned for me. And
Mhm.
I got to go and have the best time ever in the easiest way from not forcing this. So it's not that I really gave up on what I wanted. I gave up on all the ways that I thought it had to happen. And that's where the magic came in. The second and third one are really silly. But the other
I
day I
love
wanted
that.
to go, I got this splenic hit of just like, I want to go for a hike. in this nearby town where there are these rolling hills and it's kind of deserty. And I just thought, oh, I want to be among the chaparral and the San Diegan chaparral. And I
Yeah.
want to climb hills and mountains and maybe like be in a park or something like that. But I know I want to go to this town. I just had this feeling. And so that was Friday. And I thought, okay, well, I don't know. It didn't really work out for today. So I'll just do that soon. Whatever. And so my friend McKenna, out of nowhere, texted me on Saturday because we were, no, not out of nowhere, we were supposed to hang out, but she said, hey, do you want to go for a hike in this town that you live in? Which is, McKenna never comes up to visit me. She lives in San Diego. I live not in actual San Diego. And so she came to see me and I was like, this never happens. And also she's a manifester, so it's really funny. But she's like, yeah, we want to go for a hike there, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, sure. So it's funny too, because one of the reasons I didn't want to go to that town was because I didn't want to hike alone. I didn't really know any of the area. And then we just invited a couple friends and we all went together and we all had a great time. We got lunch together. It was better than I ever really, I think a better time than I would have had on my own, which
Right.
was really cool. And then my last one is uh actually no, this is my second to last one. So I told you about the waxing story.
The wax. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, what? So I went to a coffee shop the other day and I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I went, oh fuck, my eyebrows are so bad right now. I look so hairy and it's just not a good look. I can't believe I forgot to pluck my eyebrows today. And I thought, you know what? It is so far gone. There are so many of these guys up here. I just got to get it waxed. And I thought, oh, but I don't know anywhere to get waxed around here because this is where I live. It's not where I'm from. And so I thought I'll figure it out, I guess. Magic words. And so I go back to my table and sit down and these three people sit down next to me and they seem really adorable and like they work together or something. I just loved their energy. So of course I eavesdropped. Had my like headphones in pretending I'm playing music, but if you sit near me and you talk loud enough, I will listen to you. And I have
Totally.
absolutely no problem telling you that. It's the
Nope.
truth. I hear you. And so turns out they're estheticians and they own a waxing center that was down the street from the coffee shop that I was in. That is hilarious. Just
Mhm.
barely even trying. Oop, oop, there you go. And I got my eyebrows look amazing. It was
They do.
cheap. It was well done. The girl was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the magic.
that's the magic. And then,
But
okay,
this one is really good. I think I know what it is.
oh yeah, yeah. This is my favorite one.
I
It's
love
so
it
funny
so much.
because it's the dumbest one. It's like the
Perfect.
least important, but it's such a testament to how quickly things can happen when you don't attach so much. That is should be a subtitle of this episode, right? We're talking about waiting to respond stories, but that lack of attachment, knowing it can happen, but not trying to control the way in which it happens is so helpful for us. Just following what feels good. So I was at my parents' house the other night and we were watching a show and I was like, I'm still hungry. It was like 8:30 p.m. I was like, I'm still hungry. I think I want an apple or something. I wonder if they have any green apples here. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll go get an apple, maybe I won't. And suddenly next to my head, like just so it looked like it came down from heaven. Suddenly down next to my head is this plate of cut up apples and my dad goes, do you want an apple? And I was like, what? And you have to know too that my dad isn't really a big fan of apples. He doesn't ever, my dad is always putting fruit in anyone's face. He's Persian, so he's like, want fruit? Here, like this tiny little peeled part of a satsuma that I'm gonna like shove in your mouth. Do you want this? It's so Persian. He's like, try this. But he never ever gives me apples because he doesn't really like apples that much. That's never what he's eating. But
Right.
this plate of apples just lowers down next to my head and I cracked up. It was hilarious. And
Mhm.
Danielle, I know that we talked about this too, but overall, I think that manifestations have really been ramping up for people in just the craziest ways. Because these stories, I did not have these like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
It's just nuts. The energy is really changing.
It is. It's so changing and really, really quickly. So another pretty powerful story for me. Well, okay, let me just say for the woman I just invested in. So she is a priestess in divine feminine spirituality. And I had this like breadcrumb of I should become a priestess. And I responded with no. Like, what the fuck is a priestess? Who am I to be a priestess? And because the universe doesn't, right? It just sends you stuff and you respond. So the next time I came in, I was doing an oracle and like priestess came up and I looked at my sister-in-law. I'm like, why is priestess here? Like this like I feel like my soul is saying priestess, but like my ego is like, no, like I will not. So it was a no again. The next time I responded, where was it?
But did you feel in your body that it was a no?
Um, no, I mean, honestly, that could have just been ego saying no. So I don't think it was a body response. I'm trying to think. It was just a quick no. There was no, I don't know.
Got it.
It's no
It could have just
real.
been a no right then, too. That's a
Yeah.
great thing to know about the sacral center is that, like, especially for people like Danielle and me, we're so in the moment with our yeses and nos, but it can fucking change.
And it totally did
So if it's
because,
not a yes right now, it's not a fucking yes. It could be a yes later, right? And so
yeah, which
Danielle's
is,
doing the right thing of being like, this isn't a yes yet. This isn't a
yeah,
yes yet. Yeah.
yeah, it was just like it was a very much like a no. And then I had a net. Okay, so this is wild. So the priest, I started to look into the priestess, and there is something called the Rose lineage, which goes back so far, pre-Christian times, like Avalon, um, in Glastonbury, England. Okay, so there's that happening. So and have been very drawn to roses lately. I got like rose oracles. I'm like waiting to like do the thing with my roses. I stop on the side of like at a church. They had these like they turned out not to be roses, but anyway, I know. I'm like, yeah, this isn't a rose. So I go
It's
to
like a crumpled up Cheetos bag
no, I'm like,
on the bush. And you're like, oh, so beautiful.
it's just so beautiful. So I'm okay. My husband's in the military, so when I have to go for medical care, I have to go on base. So, and usually when you go on base, you get your provider is in the army. So last week when this, I almost died thing happened, I was fully expecting to have a service member as my doctor. No, it is a doctor named Dr. Rose. And
Mm,
that was my universe moment, my breadcrumb, and it was finally like a yes,
mm,
that is what I'm meant to be going towards. And so in that case, it was a no, no, no. And then the universe just kept sending it to me. And then it was a holy hell yes. Like I cannot explain what it felt like, except a holy hell yes. It was just magical and sparkly and warm and felt like a rose or a bag of Cheetos. I don't know.
a beautiful bag of Cheetos. Yeah, but what I love about this story too, because Danielle and I talked about this before, is it's not the fact that the signs kept showing up, really. That is the indication that she should have followed this thing, right? Or become the priestess. It's the way she felt about the sign. That was the response. So, it's great if if you kept seeing roses everywhere, right? Or like that maybe could be a sign, or it could be the reticular formation of your brain being like, no, I see roses everywhere. But it's the fact that Danielle felt this holy hell yes in response to that thing that meant it was the thing for her to be doing. And maybe it was your ego in the way before, or maybe it was your body being like, no, not yet, not yet, not yet, I'll tell you when it's time. And then it was a yes response. um and in the course we do talk about the difference between a yes, but there's fear, and then like just a full no of like it's just like not the right time. So you could tell a little bit more easily, like, is my mind getting in the way, is my fear getting in the way, or is this just a full no? But yeah, that's why I actually really like that story, because it explains that difference and that nuance. So
Yeah.
I love that. Also, it's so funny. If we're going back to the
Oh, God.
I died. Danielle was voxing me while she was at that hotel with Derek, and she said something about wanting to burn the hotel down. And Derek goes, "That's not very high priestess of you." And Danielle goes, and I told him, "Shut up."
Exactly how it went down at 2 a.m. He's like, it's just very priestess of you. I'm like, burn it to the ground.
Burn it to the ground. Hello, Donnie. In 28 days. Have you seen Donnie Darko? Oh my God, Danielle, we have to have a watch party. Anyway, yeah, so that's where we're at. And if you want to understand more about Wait to Respond and you want me to explain it to you, you can get all of that in the new Sacral Success course. Again, we are so stoked about this. There's 5+ hours of video content. There are exercises, there are tips, how to's. There are fun bonuses for understanding your chart specifically beyond being just a generator or a manifesting generator. But all of
Mhm.
this is really how to actually use this in your life. I'm a 5/1, right? So I love talking about the theory, but then I'm all about the application. And this covers things that I have learned from obviously my study as a human design professional, but from my own journey as a generator over the past 6 years using this, and also exactly what I use to guide other generators and manifesting generators in their own journeys too. So
So
yeah, we are so stoked to get it out to you. All the information is in the show notes or in the description wherever you are watching. And Danielle, you rock.
you rock. Thank you.
Thanks.
I love you.
I love
Thank you
you
for
too.
having me on.
And everyone listening, you rock. And I will talk to you next time.